Good morning. Welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I am Razzle11. You can find me at Twitter at Razzle11Grinds. Going to take a look at some pitching for today, Wednesday the 10th. We have some weird split slates between the two sites. DraftKings is doing a 9 game day slash main slate with a 4 game evening slate. Well, I think FanDuel has like a 4 game very early slate, and then an early slate, and then the main is this evening, I guess. Uh, but like usual, we're gonna look at DraftKings since that is where the majority of my plate is done. Uh, if you want to kind of use it to help you out on FanDuel, just realize that a lot of times FanDuel, my pitching pool is about half the size of my DK pitching pool, maybe even less than that. So, but let's dig in to start. When we look at DraftKings, we do have 4 guys over 10K, 6 guys over 9,100. So we do have options at the top. Um, for me, the top 2 options are going to be Kershaw and Castillo. Kershaw facing a Milwaukee team that struggled mightily against left-handed pitching. They've struggled ridiculously against Kershaw in their careers. Feels just like a great spot. And for Kershaw to not be the most expensive pitcher on the slate, feels like we get a little bit of savings because of that. Luis Castillo, great spot. Tough to follow up what his rotation mates have done in this series. Gilbert and Kirby have been absolutely dominant. Castillo is the better overall pitcher. It still is a little dangerous of a matchup. Texas came into this series scoring a ton of runs, but Castillo is going to find his way to number 2 on my list. Notice I skipped over Gausman and Wheeler. I think Gausman's in play, coming off a pretty rough start. He does have that blow up in him once in a while, but I think Philadelphia's going to be without Schwarber today, so that's going to weaken the lineup some. Wheeler's somebody that right now I'm just not on a whole lot. He hasn't been bad for part of the season, but he's coming off a rough start. His Ks are all over the place. I'm just not sure that I want to go there with Wheeler right now, especially at this price tag. When we can go cheaper for Kershaw, for Castillo, maybe even Javier and Erod. Javier's an interesting one. This game has a really high total, which is kind of shocking, considering the Angels have struggled ridiculously against Javier, and they're coming off a game where I think they struck out, roughly 40 times, give or take, against Framber Valdez. We see that he's gone for 20 plus DK points in 3 of his last 4 starts. I think we have to consider Javier, um, but he's a little below, Kershaw and Giolito. Might be just slightly better than Gausman in my rankings, but obviously the price difference helps out quite a bit. Eduardo Rodriguez has been absolutely nasty the last 5 starts, allowing just 2 total runs in those 5 starts. Now he faces a Cleveland team that traditionally doesn't strike out all that much, but he absolutely dominated them less than a month ago, putting up nearly 40 DK points. Now he's coming off of a start where he put up 38. I just love the way that he's throwing the baseball right now. I think he's just an excellent play. Should carry a decent amount of ownership, so be prepared for that. Merrill Kelly definitely in play for me. Coming off of his best start of the season, he's kind of gotten better as the season's gone on. Had a little hiccup against San Diego, but that's to be expected. But over the last 2 has allowed just 2 runs, striking out 15 and only walking 2. Those walks are the key for us. Nice thing is he's been a little reverse splits this year, so that's going to negate some of the Miami lineup. A little worrisome taking on Jorge Soler with the way he's swinging the bat, but I am going to be very interested in Merrill Kelly today as well. In that matchup, Edward Cabrera, definitely worth GPP shares. Ridiculous upside, 20 Ks over his last 10 innings of work. The issue here is the walk number. He does give up a home run. He's not going to throw a clean game, at this point, but the talent is ridiculous. The upside is extremely attractive. Arizona had been swinging it pretty decently. They've cooled down a little bit, but he's Cabrera's definitely worth a shot. But if he's off, then he's going to be, way off at this point. But kind of going down, I'm going to end up fading Rich Hill at this point. I know people are going to see Colorado on the road um, and think that Rich Hill is just a plug-in. I'm not all that interested in him coming off a pretty rough start. I believe that Colorado's better against left-handed pitching than they've shown. Obviously, Hill went into Colorado and put up what was his best start of the season. I am going to bank on people kind of chasing that experience, and I am going to go with the fade on Rich Hill against Colorado. Looking at some guys below that I think we could use to get better performances than, say, a Rich Hill. GPP wise, Josiah Gray has had some really strong starts and then a couple not so good starts. San Francisco is struggling a bit offensively, especially their left-handed bats right now. They're a high platoon offense, so we generally should expect their lineup to be pretty left-hand heavy. But Gray has done a decent job keeping the ball in the park this year. He had really tough time last year, so there's always worries that that home run monster could step up. But I think Gray is an intriguing GPP option. Battenfield, another guy, intriguing option. Had 3 appearances that weren't all that great. The Detroit one, the last time they faced off, he was actually really solid, but he's coming off a great performance against Minnesota. I believe he took a perfect game into the 7th inning. I don't think it was in the 8th inning that Kepler took him deep, but best start at the major league level. Detroit's been swinging it decently recently, but Battenfield has been more of a reverse splits guy, and I expect Detroit to have quite a few left-handed bats in their lineup today, just based on how they have previously put together lineups. One guy that I'm going to get questions about because I know I've already seen some questions about him in our Discord is Sean Manaea against Washington. We know Washington's super weak, but they've been, I guess, BABIPing the Giants pitchers to death. Webb had a pretty solid game last night, but he still gave up a ton of base hits. Uh, Manaea is not reliable in any way. Strong game against Milwaukee. Still gave up 3 earned, but that spot where with Milwaukee against left-handed pitching was great against Kansas City. But aside from that, hasn't been all that amazing. I'm not going to really talk people out of it. I just don't know that I'm going to end up with much for Manaea when I can use Battenfield at 6,100 in a decent matchup as well. So there we have it on that main slate. Guys, I'm looking at. We'll take a quick look here at the night slate on DK. We're gonna have one of my favorite pitchers in all of baseball, Justin Steele. Normally, I don't like to use left-handed pitching against St. Louis just because there are some guys that have traditionally absolutely destroyed left-handed pitching, but Steele has been so good, and the Cardinals' offense overall has not been. So Steele is definitely going to be one of my favorite. I think Montgomery is definitely in play in this game as well. Just 3 earned runs allowed in his last 3 starts. 5 starts of 2 earned or less on the season. I think he's probably a pretty solid play, especially at 8,400, and the fact that we only have 4 games to choose from. Another guy is Seth Lugo. Minnesota is struggling a ton right now. There's a lot of strikeouts in that lineup. I know I've said that Lugo should see some regression, which he kind of did for a little bit, but he's coming off a great start as well. I think he's probably a pretty solid play given the options that we have. Uh, Definitely going to fade, the lower price guys. Schuster's been bad at the major league level. Keller looks absolutely atrocious. Bello against Atlanta could be lit up. And Lance Lynn, I don't really know what's going on with Lance Lynn. He can rack up some strikeouts, but he's going to give up a ton of runs at this point. So, um, in comparison, I would much rather just play Lugo than Lance Lynn. So, there we have it. There's a look at some pitching for today. If you like what I keep bringing to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on. Get alerts anytime we post videos here at DFS Army. Hit the comments below. Let me know one of the sneaky pitchers you're considering. Maybe somebody I didn't bring up. Uh, but yeah, let's get it done today. If you want to join us at DFS Army, I'll put links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, it's RAZ, for 10% off your monthly membership. And as always, best of luck, everybody.